Oak Island. Friends, this place has been the world's greatest treasure mystery point since the beginning. For nearly 228 years, people have been stuck on the same question: what's hidden inside? But now, the official confirmation from the History Channel has shaken the entire internet. People are saying, man, this is the world's greatest discovery. Imagine the scene. Rick Laganina and the entire team are standing near the garden shaft in the dark of night. Machines off. 9:47 p.m. Only tension fills the air. Then, from a depth of approximately 92 feet, an electromagnetic signal appears, showing a 6.4 spike on the reading meter, an error impossible in normal geology. The crew's faces freeze. Everyone thinks the real twist has arrived. As the camera descends, an untouched tunnel is visible, which experts estimate to be approximately 350–400 years old. The wooden beams were carbon tested to date back to the 17th century, and the moisture level of the soil clearly indicates no one has walked there for centuries. As the team removes the soil, they discover perfect cut marks in the sidewalls, as if the work was done with an advanced tool. And then the metallic chamber, glimpsed in the History Channel's leaked clip, was perfectly cubic in shape. Experts estimated its alloy test, high-density metal reading on the surface, about 3.8 times heavier than normal iron. Archaeologists themselves are saying, if this is real, the Oak Island puzzle may officially be over. But the mystery doesn't end there. Internet theories are spreading like wildfire. Templar Vault, Royal Treasury, or some sealed chamber not mentioned in history books. History Channel itself said, this discovery changes everything. Now curiosity is skyrocketing. What was found on Oak Island that no one has been able to find for 228 years? Be sure to watch the video until the end to know the full story. And please subscribe, because the real story of Oak Island has just begun. The real explosion is yet to come. The story of Oak Island officially begins in 1795, when three teenagers, Daniel McGinnis, Anthony Vaughan, and John Smith, discover a strange depression. They believe someone must have buried something significant here long ago. They begin digging, and a few feet below, they discover wooden platforms, as if someone had hidden something layer by layer. From that day on, Oak Island became the world's most mysterious treasure spot. And to this day, people still call that first excavation the beginning of the legend. As the years passed, this place became famous as the Money Pit. It was said that a treasure was hidden here, that everyone who tried to extract it had failed miserably. Many said it was pirates' gold. Some said it was the sacred vault of the Templars, and still others believed it might be a lost chest belonging to a royal family. But the most shocking thing was that wooden platforms kept appearing every 10 feet, as if someone had deliberately engineered a trap. People believed this wasn't just treasure, but the result of some advanced planning. Over the past 200+ years, people had spent millions of dollars on this site. Digging machines, pumps, explosives, geologists, engineers. But each time, water flooding, collapses, or tunnel traps halted excavation. Many expeditions failed completely. Some went bankrupt, and some were so scared that they began calling Oak Island cursed land. With no concrete results for so long, this place officially became the world's most unsolved treasure mystery. And the suspense only grew with each new attempt. Then, in the modern era, came Rick and Marty Laganina, passionate fans of Oak Island since childhood, and now the owners of a multi-million-dollar mission. They deployed the most advanced technology: LiDAR scans, seismic mapping, ground-penetrating radar, underwater tunnels research that had never been done before. Their goal was simple: to end this 228-year-old mystery. Rick wholeheartedly believes this place holds not just treasure, but a history-changing secret. Marty is a bit practical and scientific, but even he knows Oak Island holds something the world doesn't yet understand. It was nighttime. The clock showed the exact moment of 9:47 p.m., and the atmosphere near the garden shaft on Oak Island was strangely quiet. The crew was carrying out routine work. Some were watching sensors, others were communicating downstairs.
Suddenly, without any warning, all the heavy machinery on site stopped simultaneously. The excavator's arm froze, the lift cage got stuck halfway, and the workers below looked up in panic. It all happened so suddenly that everyone felt as if someone had pressed an invisible switch. After the machine shut down, a slight vibration began to resonate from underground, but so subtle that only the trained crew could detect it. The operators got the first strange signal when their walkie-talkie began producing static without any button press. When the electrical engineer checked the panel, the readings appeared completely unstable, as if a magnetic wave was hitting from below. The air felt heavy, a literal heaviness, as if some unseen pressure had settled over the entire area. Rick Lagana was standing near the shaft's entry point at the time. He immediately signaled stop and silence to the crew. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at each other as if someone had sounded
An invisible alarm. The night air is normally cool, but at that moment it felt as if the air had frozen in place. Several team members later remarked there was a strange tension in the air that night, as if the ground was about to say something. When the crew checked the monitoring screens, everyone's faces changed. Suddenly, a continuous signal began to bounce from a spot reading 92 feet on the depth meter. This wasn't normal seismic or water movement. The pattern was irregular and sharp, as if a metallic object below was emitting electromagnetic pulses. At that time, no one had any idea that this night would bring Oak Island's biggest discovery. The first major shock came at the 92 feet zone when the EM scanner showed a 6.4 magnitude spike. Such a high spike occurs in geology only when there is a very dense and unnatural metallic structure below. Normal rock, sand, or water bodies don't produce such a high electromagnetic response. The crew went into a complete freeze mode. No one spoke. Everyone just stared at the screen. The blast crew immediately activated the metal echo test. This test sends sound waves to determine the size and solidity of the metal beneath. But the problem was that the returned echo wasn't exactly normal. Instead, the echo was coming back twisted, abnormal, bent, and lagging. Experts were confused. The metal was there, but its surface was strange, as if it wasn't part of this place. Ground-penetrating radar (GPR) delivered the next major setback. Instead of giving clear readings, the lines on the screen began to glitch. Zigzag patterns, half-loaded frames, and many spots turning into completely white patches. This typically happens when an object in front of the GPR absorbs signals. The team later said it felt as if there was something underneath that didn't want to be detected. The experts were completely confused. Dr. Spooner's face clearly contorted with panic. He said, "I've never seen such an electromagnetic disturbance in a ground sample." They checked the soil resistivity and the number was normal, meaning the disturbance wasn't caused by soil or moisture. Marty immediately said, "This isn't the behavior of a natural formation. There's something mechanical or engineered here." Rick immediately put the group below on emergency hold. Workers were called up and the site was shifted to silent observation mode within a 50-foot radius. At that moment, a strange realization dawned on everyone. 92 feet below was something that someone had purposefully hidden centuries ago. And perhaps it was about to be revealed for the first time. The radar operator sent a deeper scan in a final attempt, and the shape that appeared made everyone's eyes widen. 92 feet below, a perfect rectangular block emerged on the ground map. Edges so straight that natural rock could never form it. The metallic density was so high that the device's readings repeatedly went into the red zone. One of the crew members said softly, "Guys, this is not a normal treasure box. It is something very big." After 92 feet of readings, when the team reached the bottom, they first encountered part of an old wooden beam. Initially, they thought it was a leftover from some recent digging, but once a sample was taken and sent to the lab, the results were astonishing. Carbon testing clearly showed that the beam was approximately 300 to 400 years old. This was a time when Canada lacked modern engineering or the technology to build such underground tunnels. This immediately made the crew realize that this was no ordinary excavation site. This was a very old, purposefully constructed tunnel. As the team moved forward, they discovered something on the walls that halted the entire operation: perfect cut marks. These marks weren't made with an old axe or chisel. They showed straight lines and symmetrical corners, as if someone had used an advanced cutting tool. Natural erosion couldn't have created such smooth geometric lines. Geologists were also shocked, saying this is the work of a highly skilled group and these were not random miners. The mark's symmetry was so clean that it rivaled even modern-day carpentry. And when the deeper beams in a small section of the tunnel were checked, another big surprise was found. Almost every wooden support beam dated back to the 17th century or the late 1600s. This is the same time period when the Templars, Portuguese explorers, or secret groups were active in the North Atlantic. This tunnel wasn't built for any normal commercial or mining purpose. Its layout, its direction, and its preserved condition proved that something very valuable was hidden inside. Most shockingly, soil compression and moisture levels indicated that the tunnel had remained untouched for centuries. Going deeper into the tunnel, the atmosphere began to change. The air felt cold and heavy, and a metallic smell from below repeatedly alerted the crew. Suddenly, at the end of the tunnel, the lights caught a strange reflection. It wasn't soil or rock. As the team got closer, their torches fell on a smooth, flat, and perfectly reflective surface. Such pure metal couldn't be found in any natural underground cavity. Rick Lagina immediately exclaimed, "Guys, this doesn't look like a normal object." When the entire area was cleared, the first glimpse stunned everyone. A metallic chamber with a nearly perfect cubic shape existed underground. No uneven corners, no dents. Every edge was formed with millimeter precision. Natural formations could never create such a symmetrical cube. Such a shape is only found in engineered objects, whether an ancient vault or a scientifically designed containment structure. The density meter provided the next major shock. This metal had a density 3.8 times greater than normal iron or steel. This meant the material was not only rare, but also artificially reinforced. Such a dense metal reading had never been found on Oak Island before. Scientists said it was nearly impossible to create it by hand or with primitive tools. This design was created by an advanced mind, by a group that was world-leading in engineering at the time. The most astonishing thing was that there was no rust on the metal at all. Despite being buried under soil, water, and pressure for 350 to 400 years, the metal appeared fresh and preserved. The lack of rusting completely confused experts. This chamber was made of an alloy of which knowledge is scarce even in modern records. Moisture tests confirmed that the object repelled surrounding moisture, as if the material itself possessed protective properties. The question now arose, was this chamber the result of a natural geological process, or was it the work of a hidden engineering group? When archaeologists studied the surface marks, they exclaimed, "This is an example of incredible craftsmanship. This is an engineered structure." Every expert was stumped. How did this vault get there, and who placed it? The age of the tunnel and the condition of the chamber suggest that this structure had remained untouched for centuries, as if it had been hidden for a special occasion. The mystery of Oak Island was already deep, but this metallic chamber amplified it exponentially. The crew was now completely convinced. This place didn't hide history. It was deliberately buried. When the entire metallic chamber was cleared, the first question experts asked was, how could this be so deep? According to Oak Island's geology, it's impossible for a perfectly shaped metallic cube to form at a depth of 90+ feet. Natural deposits are always rough, uneven, and edges break under pressure. But this chamber was absolutely smooth, its shape mathematically perfect, something nature could never create. This caused scientists' initial reaction to be shock and disbelief. When geologists checked the soil pressure mapping, even greater doubts arose. The soil pressure at that depth is so high that any hollow structure or chamber could not survive for centuries. Normal wooden beams crumble within 40 to 50 years, and even metal bends under soil pressure. But this chamber had zero deformation. It seemed as if the soil hadn't compressed it for hundreds of years. Experts said this challenges the rules of soil pressure, as if someone had protected it. While cleaning the chamber, the crew discovered a strange unknown residue at its edges. It was neither rust, nor soil, nor a mineral deposit. Chemical tests showed it contained metallic compounds rarely found in modern samples. The residue appeared to be left over from a protective coating on the chamber. Experts said this material does not form naturally in the natural environment. This raised a major question. Who and how could have created this coating? The lab teams were divided. Some scientists suggested the structure was engineered and intentionally created by an older, advanced group. Others suggested it could be an ancient preservation technique lost to modern times. Still others didn't consider this theory possible. They argued that the chamber was simply impossible based on geology. Confusion spread within the team, and Rick, Marty, and the rest of the crew were unsure whether this discovery was history or a new category of mystery. Meanwhile, another major twist unfolded. Leaked footage from the History Channel. The cameraman was continuously recording during the excavation, but as the chamber began to clear, his breathing became rapid and panic-like in the audio. The footage clearly showed the cameraman saying, "Guys, this is not normal, oh my God." His voice was shaky, and the footsteps of the workers behind him were accelerating as if everyone was in immense shock. Then suddenly, a loud voice was heard in the footage. "Turn off the camera now." The voice's origin remains unconfirmed, but the tone was strong and urgent. It seemed as if a higher authority had ordered the recording to stop and no further footage should be released. At that very moment, the camera feed cut out and the clip ended. But the real drama began when a 9-second snippet of the footage leaked onto the internet.
The clip showed only a reflection of a silver-golden corner of the chamber, and the cameraman's heavy breathing could be heard. The clip was blurry, but fans watched it hundreds of times in slow motion. People on Reddit and Twitter began tracing the exact shapes. Some claimed they saw symbols, some a metallic pattern, and some said it looked like a modern-type vault hinge. Fan breakdown analysis was insane. More than 50 channels on YouTube created full 20-minute explainers on just this 9-second clip. People were saying the History Channel is hiding something big. Some said it was government interference. Some said it was clear proof of a Templar vault. Social media exploded, and the clip received millions of views within hours. The Oak Island community was filled with both excitement and panic, as this was the first time a real glimpse of the chamber had been made available to the public. Rick and Marty refused to make a public statement, which only increased the suspense. Fans wondered, if this were normal, why would the History Channel hide it? This single leak brought the entire world to the most intense moment in the Oak Island mystery. After the chamber was discovered, the first person to sit in the excavation tent was Dr. Ian Spooner, considered Oak Island's most experienced geoscientist. But this time, his face wasn't in its usual confident mode. Instead, fear, shock, and disbelief were clearly visible. Spooner's first statement was, "Such a chamber is simply not possible at this depth. The geology doesn't allow it." He compared soil density, erosion patterns, and timelines, but none of the data could explain how this structure remained stable for so many years. There was a strange hesitation in his voice, as if he were witnessing his own science being challenged. When the metal experts saw the chamber's first surface readings, their reaction was no less shocking. They checked the density, conductivity, and alloy composition, but the sample didn't fit into any known metal category. The readings spiked repeatedly, and even after resetting the instruments, the E numbers didn't stabilize. The experts clearly stated, this metal isn't natural, someone designed it. One specialist even said he had never seen such material in his 25-year career. The crew remained completely silent, listening to the experts' tense conversation. Meanwhile, archaeologists also jumped into the debate. They said the chamber's shape and engineering resembled ancient European vault designs, especially those secret vaults used to protect royal families and military orders. But historians immediately disagreed.
According to them, there was no historical record of such advanced and underground chambers on the Atlantic side in the 1600s. Both sides continued to argue. Archaeologists said the craftsmanship was very advanced, while historians said the timeline didn't match. The entire team was divided. Science was adamant and mystery was presenting its clues. Amidst this heated debate, one point kept coming up again and again: the Templar connection. Rick said that several measurements and structural marks looked disturbingly similar to descriptions of a Templar vault. Historians initially rejected it, but as the chamber's depth, age, and symmetry were compared, archaeologists exclaimed, "The Templar theory now seems stronger than ever." Suddenly, the entire tent fell silent. This was the same theory that people had believed in as a rumor for decades. Now, the discussion moves on to the Templar vault theory gets maximum support. One of the biggest pieces of evidence was the perfect match in chamber size. Templar vaults were typically cubic, symmetrical, and contained compartments inside that remained unaffected by external pressure. The Oak Island chamber was similar. The edges were millimeter perfect, the depth was uniform, and the sides were extremely smooth. This seemed more like a signature than a coincidence. The timeline also matched shockingly. When carbon tests showed the tunnel's beams to be from around the 1600s, archaeologists literally froze. This is the era when theories suggest that remnant groups of Templars reached the North Atlantic. This was the first physical evidence supporting that theory. Rick said softly, "If this is true, then world history will be rewritten." Some faded symbol-like marks were also visible on the walls of the chamber. At first glance, they appeared to be erosion, but closer inspection revealed repetitive curves and patterns, as if someone had intentionally engraved them. The marks were not completely readable, but the shape led experts to speculate that they might be part of a medieval code or insignia. While these marks weren't exact replicas of the Templar cross, they certainly bore a similar pattern. At that moment, a scientist in the tent said something that sent a chill down everyone's spine. "Guys, if this is what it looks like, we found something big." After this line, there was dead silence in the tent. No one spoke. Everyone simply stared at the chamber as if forbidden history was unfolding before their eyes. There was excitement in Rick's eyes, confusion in Marty's, and fear in the eyes of the experts. Now the story of Oak Island was no longer limited to treasure. It had become a battle between history, legend, and science. When the soil in front of the chamber was removed, the first thing the lights caught was a strange glowing reflection. This wasn't a normal metallic sheen. It was extremely clear, smooth, and mirror-like. The chamber's shiny edges shone in the torchlight as if someone had applied centuries-old gold plating inside. The workers' faces turned pale, as such a shine is never found in underground cavities. This was the first sign that the chamber wasn't hollow. It contained something very valuable. As the crew moved closer, the vague outline of an unknown structure became visible inside the chamber. The structure wasn't like a chest, a box, or a cylinder. Its shape was irregular but metallic. It looked as if several metallic layers were fused together. What frightened the crew the most was that the surface of the structure was strangely warm, while the soil temperature outside was cold. Rick himself said, "This thing is as confusing as it looks." The structure's outer surface had a silvery tint in some places and a golden tint in others. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. The sound of heavy breathing became clearly audible in the crew's breathing microphones. Every worker felt as if they were standing not in front of a normal archaeological find, but in front of centuries-old preserved technology or a vault. Marty spoke in a very serious tone. "Guys, slow down. We don't know what's inside this box." Rick's voice trembled slightly, but excitement was evident. The 28-year-old mystery of Oak Island was about to unfold before their eyes. Then came a moment that stunned everyone. Lights were shown on the corner of the chamber and a pure metallic gold-like reflection returned from within. The reflection was so sharp that one worker reflexively stopped his hand. It was clearly metallic and clearly valuable. The crew looked at each other without speaking as if they all understood